You guys have obviously seen a lot about the Iron Blaster and the Leadbelchers. Those armor-piercing Ogre Kingdom's missile units have gotten quite a bit of publicity, but what about the other armor-piercing missile unit for the Ogre Kingdoms? That is Maneater pistols. I'm recording this on my new PC setup, so a little experimental. Hopefully everything goes well, but anyway, we've got here this replay from Trader GG. And you can see here he's got a couple of Maneater pistols in his starting army. He had made the point, and this is true, that Leadbelchers, while they do more area of effect damage, they actually don't do as much single target damage, and more importantly, they have much worse defensive stats than Ogre Maneaters. Maneaters are pretty potent combatants. Even the pistols at 40 attack and 42 defense, pretty solid. 110 weapon strength, only 40 armors, not great. But of course, their armor-piercing pistol shots deal more single target damage and damage against low model count units. They're also immune to psychology, and just in general, more of a hybrid fighting shooting unit. And against a faction like Nurgle, you might think the lack of mobility means that you can protect Leadbelchers, but in reality, Nurgle has so much HP on their big monsters, like this Exalted Great Unclean one here, that the extra DPS against single targets is actually going to make the Maneater pistols better in this matchup. Not to mention, their stats are good enough at 42 melee defense that a lot of the standard Nurgle stuff isn't going to be able to make consistent contact with them due to their low melee attack. Plague Bears coming in with only 30 melee attack, so even something like Furies, they're going to have a lot harder time fighting Maneater pistols than they would the Leadbelchers. He's got a Tyrant and a Fire Belly, so very cool. No Scrag, no Gorgers, no Iron Blaster. I have to say, very much do like this build. He does have a couple of Leadbelchers though, and we can see the difference in HP. I mean, almost double the HP on the Ogre Maneater pistols. Of course, same model count, but just overall much meatier and more of a hybrid fighting unit. Speaking of which, he's also got the Stonehorn, the Harpoon launcher. One thing to keep in mind, the Hunter on the Stonehorn, actually with no abilities, costs less than the Harpoon launcher, has an anti-large missile attack, doesn't have the artillery range, but it's just something interesting to think about. You do have an empty hero slot here. You could perhaps bring the Hunter on the Stonehorn for a little bit less cost, but anyway, the rest of the build, we've got 2 dual weapons for regular bulls, a couple of Saber Tusk packs, 3 Noblar Trappers, and 5 Noblars. Of course, 2 more Trappers in the starting army for Nurgle here. Exalted Great Unclean one, a couple of Nurglings, 3 Plague Bears, and a Fury. In reserve here, we've got a Soul Grinder, a Cultist, 1 Beast of Nurgle, 1 Forsaken, 3 more Nurglings, 2 Spawn, 2 Furies, and 2 Plague Bears. So let's go ahead and jump in. We're going to be on the Silver Spire map, which is personally my least favorite of all of the Domination maps, but it is here, and it's going to afford the Ogres a chance to set up and perhaps use their missile units to good effect in some of these chokes. We'll have to see. But certainly the Great Unclean one, Exalted Great Unclean one, is a very, very meaty boy. Has a huge amount of HP, plenty of access to healing as well. So let's see how it goes. You guys can appreciate my new PC setup. Hopefully OBS is holding up just fine. I'll be checking after the fact, of course, before I upload it. So you guys may never end up actually seeing this. But in the case that you are seeing this, assume it goes well. And yeah, here we are. Nice, buttery smooth in comparison to my laptop. It does still lag down to 30 frames in certain situations with heavy VFX, just because this game still needs optimization work, but Creative Assembly already just today released a patch which sort of fixed some multiplayer things and remedied some other issues. But anyway, Maneater pistols coming in. I do love their unit models as well. I'm a fan of pistol units in general. For those of you guys who don't know, Pistoliers are kind of my signature unit for the Empire. And these Maneater pistols represent the biggest pistols that we're going to have access to in the game. They're coming in here. If we look out in the distance, there's that Great Unclean one. And we've got the Nurglings advancing as well, so plenty of meat here. Lots and lots of HP. 12,000 HP for the Great Unclean one. The Plague Bears have 11,000, so there's just a lot to get through here. Which is why the Maneater pistol's higher DPS could come in handy. But let's see. Players bringing in some reinforcements off the far side here. Looks like just some Noblars, just throwing some more bodies on the pile, which always is viable, certainly. And against Nurgle, you do want to be contesting with lots of bodies, hence plenty of cheap Noblars here in order to contest. The Nurglings kind of pushing up and around here. Not sure exactly what's going on with the trees. I apologize. Odd stuff with the foliage hiding. Anyway. But Maneater pistol is going to already open up. You can see they do fire while moving, just like Empire Free Company. Although they don't shoot 360, they can fire while advancing. And if you kind of run them past the unit, like so they can get a side shot like this, you can sort of move while shooting, you know, continuously. A little bit tricky to pull off, but very reflective water. Oh man, this game does look quite a bit better running it on this hardware, I have to say. But Maneater standing firm with the Gnoblar Trappers. It's quite a bit of ranged power, actually. A little bit of Burning Head. It's been a long time since I've seen this spell cast, and definitely doesn't do that much damage. Nowhere close to something like Penumbral Pendulum, but it's here. It does lower the leadership and lessen the healing effect received by these Plague Bearers and so forth. So pretty good stuff. Maneaters right now focusing as much as they can on the Exalted Great Unclean One. He's kind of using this little woodland copse for cover. Gonna throw a Fleshy Abundance on himself and move on in. That 1.6 heals per second will be able to sustain through the Maneater pistol fire. He's gonna come in and try and mix up this Firebelly's face. Oh, the bell toll shaking out a Blight Boil here as Firebelly runs for his life. Definitely doesn't want any part of that. Blight Boil is not going to do a whole lot of damage for the Winds of Magic that was spent. Yes, it does lead to this Gnoblar Trapper getting terrified away, but I mean, it's just a 450 cost Gnoblar Trapper, so that's just fine. Meanwhile, Maneaters get another chance to tee off. They've already used up quite a bit of ammunition, but look at this. Almost paid for themselves both. I mean, I guess maybe the one nice breath attack from the Firebelly. Again, applying that little bit of fire damage there. And that burnt contact effects, these guys can't be healed. Yep, you see they are on fire. So pretty good stuff there, but the Exalted Great Unclean One, this is the other great thing. Again, with the hybrid stats, sort of the shooting slash fighting role of the Maneater pistols, they can fight for a minute, retreat, continue firing. You saw even there, they were like fighting or firing while almost in melee combat, which is pretty nice. Firebelly continuing to debuff the healing. Curse of the Leper, so extra armor and melee reflection momentarily for the Exalted Great Unclean One, but he has taken a lot of focus fire here, and Trader GG is able to keep his Maneaters moving. They're so much faster than the Nurgle units that, I mean, there's no chance of those Plague Bearers ever catching them, so very easy to just stay out in front. And look at that DPS, man, and just 2 units of Maneaters. Oh man, had a little bit of a, not exactly Flamestorm, but whatever ability this is for the Firebelly here. I believe, yeah, that's the Eruption. Does a little AoE non-AP explosion. Here comes the Stonehorn Harpoon launcher. Let's take a look at what other reinforcements we've got trickling in. Some more Gnoblars and Gnoblar Trappers. And on the side of Nurgle, we've got some Nurglings here. Exalted Great Unclean One's just about gone down. We check back in with the Maneaters. They're going to have generated a huge amount of value. Yeah, almost 3,000 in one case. Almost 2,000 in another case. So really, really strong. Little fireball there to hit that Exalted Great Unclean One again. Light him on fire, not allow him to heal as much. Try and finish him off. It looks like the leadership damage is going to be enough to force him into banishment. So the big Chungus going down in the distance will leave the Maneaters to be able to dominate the battlefield. The Stonehorn also. No healing for the Stonehorn, of course, because there's no lore of Big Maw, but with 110 armor, it will take relatively low damage from the non-AP units of Nurgle to begin with, so that's just fine. Now that they've used their ammo on high-value targets, other great thing about Maneater pistols is they can move in and just start to dominate in melee combat. You can see them just kicking the teeth off of these poor Plague Bearers. I mean, the Plague Bearers definitely deserve it. They're big fat guy butts, which is what I imagine that the Ogre butts actually look like too, but unfortunately we do not get to see them, or perhaps fortunately, depending on your perspective. But anyway, yeah, you can see them just grinding down. Really not a lot on the Nurgle roster, at least in this army, that can deal. One good thing in this matchup, Spawn of Nurgle, I do like quite a bit because of their high weapon strength. They can actually do some decent damage if they can make contact. 30 charge also, not too bad if they can charge into the Maneaters. At 42 speed, they at least have a little bit better chance of catching them, especially once the poison kicks in. But yeah, in general, I think in this matchup, Forsaken are going to be a lot better of an infantry choice. And just in general, Plague Bearers are so painfully slow and their offensive output is very bad. So I would imagine, you know, Forsaken, yes, they're going to take more damage, but they'll dish out a lot more damage. And like even the Maneater pistols, again, with poison, the speed debuffs, Forsaken can keep up with them. They have enough melee attack and charge to get through their melee defense, and they're just going to deal a lot more damage with their weapon strength. So I do think this Nurgle build could use a little bit of fine-tuning. I would literally just like trade all of the Plague Bearers 1-to-1 pretty much for Forsaken. But anyway, Spawn moving in here. We're going to get a nice pitched combat between the Spawn and the Maneater pistols. So I would imagine that the Maneaters will win this just because they have better stats, even with the poison and unbreakable effects and so forth. But yeah, oh yeah, the Spawn are getting pounded there. Tyrant also fighting with his hammer and sword. Got his giant gut plate. Oh yeah, just pounding the Spawn right in the face. Pretty good stuff there right now. Ogres are well in the lead. You can see I've also customized my colors. You can actually like fine-tune the specific coloration that you want for a team, for your team, for enemies, for allies, neutral factions. Anyway, really cool. But Beast of Nurgle comes in. He's also going to be subject to some Maneater pistol fire. The other unit is pretty much out of ammunition. Yeah, these guys fighting the spawns. This other unit, though, still has plenty of ammo left. Soul Grinder of Nurgle firing in from the distance as well. You see those Plague Mortar shots raining. But Trader GG doing a good job just defending, not overextending to try and capture this low ground point, not going for the greedy 3 cap like I probably would. We do have some actual Leadbelchers in here as well. So yeah, again, the difference in HP, I didn't realize it was that significant, but the Maneater pistols lost 3 models, you know, almost half HP and still more total HP than these Leadbelchers. So in this matchup, in a few of the other matchups, like for me, I would think against Tzeentch, the issue with Leadbelchers is they can get shut down by Doom Knights and even Tzeentch Furies relatively easily. These guys, they might still lose to Doom Knights. Actually, would need to do some testing and see, but they're going to trade much better, certainly, because of the armor piercing and melee, the better stats, better health, and everything else. Likewise, against Tzeentch, that higher damage in order to punch through barriers of specific units might be better than the Leadbelchers anyway, so it's an interesting one. I think those are the 2 matchups for me that spring to mind. Maybe against Slaanesh and Khorne, although those factions are a little bit faster, they're a little bit higher damage and sort of combat stats, right? Offensive potential. So the Maneaters are going to be a little bit more vulnerable there. Maybe it's better to just have the cheaper and, of course, the area of effect damage in particular against like Khorne infantry. As I bumped my mic stand, apologies. Would probably be better, but I don't know. I'll have to explore it a little bit more and see what matchups I think Maneater pistols are going to be good in. Anything I would say where you have to take down a really high health HP, maybe in an Ogre mirror actually as well. Maneater pistols might be pretty solid for that reason, but hard to say. Maybe just more volume of Leadbelchers is better there. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, but certainly the Giant Ogre Free Pirates, one of my favorite units aesthetically, so glad to see them performing so well in this particular battle. Take an overarching look here. You can see that, yeah, I mean, the Nurgle forces are just struggling. They're so far behind on army damage value that it's going to be tricky for them to ever capture the center objective, and unfortunately, fights on this map can sort of go this way. And look at these Maneaters. Used up all their ammunition, almost 3,000 damage value at the end of the day. This one as well, 4,500 damage value. Granted, a lot of that is inflated because of the healing of the Great Unclean One, but you still got to do that damage, right? And these guys are here to dish it out. Oh yeah, beautiful stuff. I mean, I never thought I'd be calling an ogre beautiful, but here we are. Super fun. So we're going to fast forward a little bit through this late game as the battle's more or less decided at this point. Nurgle pretty much has no chance of winning. We'll just kind of fast forward through the end. The Maneaters, look at that with the healing too. It looks like, I didn't realize. Oh yeah, that's the army ability heal. Right. The I forget, Ogres actually do have the army ability heal, so even if you don't bring Lore of the Great Maw, you still can have access to a little bit of healing. Now, I want to see more people playing around with the Fire Belly and even Lore of Beasts as well. I mean, in theory, a Manticore summon with Ogres could be very strong. But anyway, big thanks to Tactical GG for sending that one in. Or a Trader GG, whatever. I apologize. I got it right earlier, I know. But, man, impressive performance from these Maneater pistols. I hadn't got a chance to try this out too much myself yet, but I definitely see what he's going for here. The Fire Belly's okay. It seems like they may be over-nerfed a lot of the abilities for Lore of Fire. I mean, certainly Burning Head's not nearly as effective as it used to be, which is probably a good thing. the end of the day. But I don't know. I might play around a little bit myself with the Fire Belly. Maybe I'll take Lure of Beasts as well for a little bit of Flock of Doom action. Maybe some Manticore summons, like I said. Good stuff. Definitely some good stuff. Nobblar Trapper is generally pretty good. They do a good job here, even though they don't necessarily pay for themselves. Tyrant also manages to tank out until the end, which is important. Stonehorn, same thing. Super, super tanky. With so much HP and armor that... Oh, smack my mic stand again. Apologies, guys. It's a new setup, new position for everything. Still getting used to where everything's at. But the Ogre Bulls, a lot of them, I mean, they trade cost-effectively as well. They're probably one of the most cost-effective units in the entire game, honestly. The Nobblars are also here. On Nurgle's side, I'm guessing a lot of stuff struggled to pay for itself. Yeah, I mean, one Plague Bearer did okay. They were able to grind into prolonged melee combat. Let's see here. On the reinforcement side, a lot of kill total on the Soul Grinder, but the Cultist didn't do too much. Honestly, if you want to take Plague Bearers, in my opinion, it's better to just wrap them in a Cultist. Like, double Cultist is actually pretty strong for a number of different reasons, but I don't know. Yeah, again, just trading these Plague Bearers out for Forsaken probably would have been better. The Forsaken themselves did pay for themselves, even though they died horribly. Yeah, the spawns did not, neither did the Beast of Nurgle. So rough go around for Nurgle, for sure. But it is what it is. Definitely a fun one, and I have to say, need to try out Maneater pistols some more because I do like the unit very much. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. See you next time.